Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a story Hollywood rarely dares to tell. This video uncovers the lives of 15 black child actors who were once the brightest promises on our screens, little stars with extraordinary talent, unforgettable smiles, and futures everyone believed would shine forever. But behind the jokes, behind the sitcom lights, behind the movie set magic, many of these children carried burdens no child should ever have to face. Some quietly slipped away from the spotlight. Some fought battles the world never saw. And others met tragic endings that still haunt fans to this day. This is the part of Hollywood they never put in the scripts, the heartbreak hidden behind the laughter. Join us as we journey through the rise, the fall, and the devastating fates of 15 young black stars who were meant to grow old, yet never got the chance. Marcus Sipolk, the child star America once adored, who grew into a man the public could barely recognize. In the 1990s, Marcus was one of Hollywood's brightest young talents. As Miles Mitchell, the quick-witted, lovable little brother on the hit sitcom Moesha, he won over millions. He had charm, potential, and a future many young actors could only dream of. But when the cameras stopped rolling, so did the momentum of his career. And in the years that followed, the sweet kid from TV began to disappear, replaced by a version of Marcus that no one saw coming. Everything changed in August 2013. What started as a small argument in a Los Angeles nightclub exploded into a horrifying act of violence when the couple returned home. In a moment of uncontrollable rage, Marcus struck his girlfriend in the face, knocking her to the ground, then continued attacking her, kicking her repeatedly in the abdomen as she screamed in pain. Terrified and injured, she made it to a hospital and reported the assault. Police arrived at Marcus's home hours later. He was arrested on domestic violence charges severe enough to cost him years of freedom. Even after posting bail, the damage was done. The nation no longer saw Miles Mitchell. They saw a violent, dangerous man who had lost control. You would think that moment would force him to change direction. It didn't. Just 2 years later, in 2015, Marcus found himself in an even deeper hole. Arizona Highway Patrol pulled him over after witnessing his car swerving dangerously across the interstate. When officers approached, the truth was obvious. Marcus was intoxicated, stumbling, slurring his words, unable to stand steady. His blood alcohol level was far above the legal limit, and signs pointed to drug use as well. He was cuffed on the spot. His mugshot, glassy eyes, exhausted face, spread across social media within hours. Another scandal, another headline, another reminder of a talent that had once seemed unstoppable now crashing to the ground. Today, Marcus Sipolk is still trying to claw his way back into the industry that once embraced him. But Hollywood has a long memory, and the shadows of his past follow him everywhere he goes. His story is a painful warning. Fame is fragile. One moment you're a rising star, and a few reckless decisions later, everything you built can disappear. Orlando Brown, from Disney darling to a man fighting his darkest demons. For years, Orlando was one of Disney's brightest young stars. As Eddie Thomas on That's So Raven, he wasn't just funny, he was loved. He had charm, talent, and a future that looked unstoppable. But once the cameras stopped rolling, his life took a sharp, painful turn. What followed was a downward spiral that shocked even longtime fans. Drugs, theft, violent outbursts, headlines began replacing his once promising career. On June 29, 2018, Las Vegas police responded to a theft call at a restaurant. They found Orlando hiding in the restroom, behaving erratically, rambling incoherently. A search uncovered meth and drug paraphernalia. It wasn't his first run-in with the law. He had been arrested before for DUI, resisting arrest, and violating probation, but this time everything felt different. This was serious. This was the moment the world realized just how far he had fallen. The images that came next spread online like wildfire, a thin, gaunt, unrecognizable Orlando Brown. Fans were stunned, heartbroken. But the troubles didn't stop there. In December 2022, he was arrested again, this time in Ohio, for domestic violence and threatening to kill a family member who had opened his home to help him. Police described a man in an uncontrollable rage, armed with a knife and hammer. The victim's account painted a terrifying picture. Orlando wasn't just a danger to others, he was a danger to himself. His trial only confirmed what many feared. This wasn't the story of a troubled celebrity. It was the story of a man drowning without a lifeline. Orlando Brown's downfall isn't an isolated Hollywood tragedy. It's a harsh reminder of what happens when fame fades fast and the support disappears even faster. A once-beloved Disney star now stands at the crossroads of an uncertain, heartbreaking future, proof that talent can open the door, but demons can tear everything apart. Bobby Brown, from teen heartthrob to repeat inmate. Before the scandals and headlines, Bobby Brown was a force. A new edition superstar, a solo icon, the voice behind Don't Be Cruel, the soundtrack of an entire generation. But behind the fame, Robert Brown was living a completely different life, one filled with chaos, addiction, and a series of choices that turned a promising legend into a cautionary tale. His rap sheet is long, but 2 arrests changed everything. December 2003, the night everything cracked wide open. Police rushed to Whitney Houston's home after an emergency call. What they found was shocking. Whitney with a split lip, a swollen cheek, and scratches across her face. Brown was right there, and officers didn't hesitate. They arrested him on the spot for domestic violence. Whitney later dismissed the incident as a simple argument, but no one could unsee the bruises. Brown faced the courts, was sentenced to 8 days in jail, forced into anger management classes, and assigned 200 hours of community service. But this was far from his last time behind bars. Then came 2012, the breaking point. Years of drinking and drugs finally caught up. In Los Angeles, police stopped him for reckless driving. His blood alcohol level wasn't just over the limit, it was way past it. And this wasn't his first or second DUI, it was his third. The judge had no mercy, 55 days in jail and 4 years of probation. March 20, 2013, Brown enters LA County Jail. But in a twist that angered the public, overcrowding meant his 55-day sentence turned into 9 hours. 9 hours for a third DUI. 9 hours for years of dangerous behavior. It sparked a conversation about justice, and who truly gets punished in America. When Brown walked out, he promised to stay sober. Maybe he tried. But by then, the damage was done. The world no longer saw the electrifying showman. They saw the downfall. The mugshots. The wasted potential. Bobby Brown went from musical genius to a symbol of what happens when fame meets demons, and the demons win. Chris Brown, the troubled R&B superstar whose talent was overshadowed by violence. But long before his scandals made headlines, another giant had already fallen, Robert Kelly, the man once hailed as the undisputed king of R&B. In his youth, Kelly ruled the charts, collected awards like trophies, and stood shoulder to shoulder with global icons. No one, absolutely no one, imagined that the same man adored by millions would become a symbol of betrayal, abuse, and criminal collapse. Everything began unraveling in 1994. On June 1st, a black limousine sliced through the busy streets of Chicago. Inside sat Robert Kelly, jaw tight, fists clenched, anger simmering beneath the surface. Beside him was Aaliyah, barely more than a girl at the time, frightened and shaken after a heated argument that had spiraled out of control. Then came the breaking point. Kelly snapped. The argument exploded into violence, shouting, crying, a sudden strike, then another. The once polished star became a monster in the shadows of that limousine. Aaliyah tried to escape, tried to pull away, but the damage was already done. By the time they reached their destination, she was injured, terrified, and in desperate need of help. Authorities arrived within minutes. And the world Kelly had built began to crack. Public opinion turned against him overnight. The media attacked. Longtime supporters disappeared. Corporate partners cut ties without hesitation. And the music industry, an industry he once dominated, stepped back and watched him fall. Kelly received probation and community service, another undeserved lifeline from the justice system. But instead of changing, he continued down the same path. More accusations surfaced. More investigations. More violations. At every turn, he dug the hole deeper. Eventually, The courts had seen enough. In May 2022, Robert Kelly entered federal prison, no longer a king, just another inmate. And even after his release, the shadow of his past clings to him wherever he goes. His legacy, once golden, is now permanently stained by the choices he made. He may have walked out of prison, but the world he destroyed will never return. Gary Coleman. Once the brightest child star on American television, Gary Coleman captured the nation's heart with his charm, wit, and unforgettable role on Diff'rent Strokes. For millions, he wasn't just a TV character, he was a symbol of innocence and joy. But fame came early, success came fast, and the fall that followed was devastating. By 2004, Gary's name returned to the headlines for all the wrong reasons. At just 36, he was arrested after a heated confrontation with mall security in Utah, a chaotic scene witnessed by stunned onlookers who remembered him as the smiling kid from prime time. When he resisted arrest, the image of the lovable child star shattered, replaced with that of a troubled man battling demons the public couldn't see. And things only grew worse. In 2010, Gary violated probation and was sentenced to 30 days in jail, a small punishment compared to the years of legal, financial, and emotional turmoil piling up behind him. His legal battles were just one part of a much deeper tragedy. After Diff'rent Strokes, Gary learned that the people he trusted most had allegedly taken advantage of his earnings. He faced constant medical issues, money problems, and an overwhelming sense of despair. The anger he carried, the guilt, the frustration, often erupted in public, further damaging the image he had built as a child. The contrast was heartbreaking. Once a beloved icon, now reduced to tabloid headlines and courtroom drama. His dreams of a comeback faded under the weight of everything he had endured. In May 2010, after suffering a severe fall, Gary Coleman passed away at just 42 years old, without the redemption arc he deserved, without the farewell millions would have gladly given him. His life remains one of Hollywood's most painful cautionary tales, a reminder of how quickly fame can rise, how harshly it can fade, and how a child star's smile can hide years of silent suffering. Joseph Antonio Cartagena. The world knows him as Fat Joe, the Bronx kid who rose from street corners to hip-hop royalty. By the time he was barely 20, he was already a force in rap, dropping hits like Lean Back and What's Love? And living a life so loud, so lavish, it felt like nothing could touch him. But success has a way of blinding even the smartest men. Behind the designer clothes, diamond chains, and private jets, Fat Joe made one decision that would flip his entire world upside down. Between 2007 and 2010, while money poured in from music, tours, and business ventures, he made a choice that would cost him everything. He didn't pay his taxes. Not a mistake. Not an oversight. A deliberate move that eventually added up to more than $3 million in unpaid bills. The IRS didn't look the other way. In 2012, federal investigators tore through his finances line by line. Within months, they had enough evidence to bring criminal charges. By June 2013, the hip-hop superstar who once felt untouchable stood in a New Jersey federal courtroom and heard his sentence. 4 months in prison, a year of probation, and over $200,000 in fines. The man who once rocked mink coats and Rolex watches now wore prison khakis and answered to a number. He served his time at FPC Miami, a low-security facility, yes, but prison is prison. And it humbled him. No one in the rap community saw it coming. Tax evasion wasn't the scandal fans expected from a man known for celebration, not crime. But it was the price of living too fast, too big, and thinking the rules didn't apply. On November 28, 2013, Fat Joe walked out a free man. And he was different. He cut back the flashy lifestyle. He focused on legal business. He rebuilt his career the right way. And now he warns younger artists, the IRS does not play. Pay what you owe, or they will come for you the same way they came for him. Back on stage, Fat Joe brings more than music. He brings a message. No matter how famous you are, how rich you become, or how high you rise, the government can bring you right back down to earth. Shad Gregory Moss, the rap prodigy the world once knew as Bow Wow, rose to fame faster than most adults could process. At just 13 years old, he was a chart-topping sensation with diamond chains, screaming fans, and record deals big enough to make veteran rappers jealous. But the same spotlight that crowned him a superstar also exposed every crack he tried to hide. By his early 20s, the world no longer saw him as the cute kid who electrified hip-hop. Moss wanted to be taken seriously: fast cars, VIP rooms, reckless nights, and a lifestyle built to scream, grown, and powerful. But on October 11, 2007, reality caught up to him. Atlanta police pulled over his Lamborghini Murcielago, and the moment they smelled marijuana, everything spiraled. A search uncovered weed in the car, and Moss was cuffed on drug possession charges. Fans were stunned. The golden boy of hip-hop had officially crossed a line. He walked out on bail, but the damage was done. And worse was coming. In 2012, Moss faced the arrest that crushed his career for good. Georgia authorities issued a warrant after he failed to pay over $90,000 in child support. Behind the lavish image, the cars, the watches, the swagger, Moss was secretly drowning. His record deals weren't paying like before, but his spending stayed sky-high. This time, there was no immediate bail, no superstar privilege. He was locked up as a broke father who couldn't support his own daughter. When he was released, Moss tried to stage a comeback, but the world had moved on. Album sales dwindled. New music flopped. Social media mocked him relentlessly, turning a former rap prince into a meme, a cautionary tale about fame fading faster than it arrives. From a teenage millionaire to a man battling the consequences of ego, excess, and bad choices. Shad Moss's fall wasn't just tragic, it was total. Bow Wow's era didn't end quietly. It collapsed, publicly, painfully, and without mercy. Lil' Kim, the queen bee of hip-hop, didn't just break records. She broke rules that nearly cost her everything. Before prison bars and courtrooms, Kim was royalty. She exploded onto the scene as a teenage firestorm in junior MAFIA, and by the time her 1996 debut Hardcore hit the streets, she wasn't just a rapper, she was a cultural earthquake. Her bold fashion, unapologetic sexuality, and razor-sharp lyrics changed the face of hip-hop forever. But at the height of her reign, one split-second decision dragged her from the throne to a federal courtroom. On February 25, 2001, outside Hot 97's Manhattan studios, chaos erupted. More than 20 gunshots cracked through the air as two rival crews, one tied to Junior MAFIA, the other to Capone Noriega, clashed in a violent street battle. Two men were left badly wounded. Rumors immediately tangled Lil' Kim's name into the mess. When she took the stand 2 years later, she made the mistake that changed her entire future. She lied. Kim insisted she didn't recognize the shooters. She claimed her bodyguard wasn't even there. But surveillance footage told another story, one where Kim was seen leaving the scene with two of the gunmen. Witness after witness confirmed what she tried to hide. With that, the icon became the defendant. In March 2005, Lil' Kim was convicted of perjury and obstruction of justice. She faced up to 20 years behind bars. After accepting responsibility and showing remorse, the judge handed down a sentence of 1 year and 1 day. On July 6, 2005, the Queen Bee walked into a Philadelphia federal prison, stripped of the spotlight, stripped of the glam, facing the consequences of a single lie. But Kim did what legends do. She survived. Behind bars, she read, wrote, worked out, and held onto her spirit. Good behavior shaved 2 months off her sentence, and on September 2, 2006, she walked out a free woman, ready to reclaim her crown. And she did. TV appearances. New music. A comeback forged in fire. Lil' Kim's story is a reminder, even the strongest icons can stumble, but true queens rise again. A single lie nearly cost her freedom, but it couldn't erase her legacy. Lauryn Hill was supposed to be untouchable, a once-in-a-generation prodigy whose voice, talent, and power changed the landscape of hip-hop forever. In the mid-90s, she wasn't just a rising star, she was the star. First came global fame with the Fugees in 1996, then the cultural earthquake of the miseducation of Lauryn Hill in 1998. 5 Grammys. Over 20 million copies sold. Critics hailed her as the future of music, A legend before she even turned 25. But instead of a long, triumphant reign, Lauren vanished. Behind closed doors, her life was unraveling. Between 2005 and 2007, she earned more than $1.8 million in royalties and deals, but paid zero in taxes. The US government moved in fast. By 2012, Lauryn Hill, the woman who once dominated the world stage, was standing in a courtroom facing serious federal charges. What happened next shocked the nation. Lauren didn't deny anything. She admitted she owed the money, but said she fled Hollywood to protect herself and her children from an industry she called corrupt, predatory, and spiritually destructive. Tax evasion, she claimed, wasn't greed, it was survival. The court didn't buy it. In May 2013, Lauryn Hill, the superstar who once commanded arenas, was sentenced to 3 months in prison, 3 months of house arrest, and a year of probation. On July 8, 2013, she entered the Danbury Federal Prison Camp in Connecticut. No entourage. No spotlight. Just inmate number 646,000 FIFA. Inside, she lived in a crowded dorm with over 100 women, woke before sunrise, completed mandatory labor assignments, and ate the same food as every other inmate. For 3 long months, Lauryn Hill, the woman the world once worshipped, had her freedom stripped away. She was released on October 4, 2013, but the Lauren who walked out was no longer the Lauren the world remembered. Her attempts at a comeback stumbled. Her post-prison single consumerism went unnoticed. Tours were marked by chaotic performances, hours-late starts, and a voice that no longer carried the magic of her youth. Fans were heartbroken. Critics were confused. The industry quietly moved on. Today, Lauryn Hill remains a hip-hop icon, but one whose crown slipped far too soon. Her 2013 imprisonment wasn't just a tax conviction. It was the moment the world watched a legend fall from unimaginable heights and never quite rise again. Todd Bridges wasn't just another child star, he was the kid America fell in love with. As Willis Jackson on Different Strokes, he lit up living rooms across the country in the 1980s. But when the cameras stopped rolling, his life slid into a darkness few knew how to save him from. Drugs, violence, and the wrong crowds pulled him into a spiral that nearly destroyed everything. By 1989, the fall from fame hit its most terrifying point. Bridges was arrested in Los Angeles, accused of something unthinkable, attempted murder. Police reports described a chaotic scene, gunfire aimed at Kenneth "Tex" Clay, a known drug dealer, shell casings scattered across the pavement, and Clay bleeding but alive. America was stunned. How could the sweet, smiling boy from TV become the center of a near-fatal shooting? The media tore into him, digging up every mistake, every addiction, every street-level connection he'd ever made. Bridges swore he was innocent, framed, manipulated, lost in addiction. Few believed him, until legendary attorney Johnny Cochran, years before the O.J. Simpson case, stepped in. With Cochran's sharp courtroom skill, Todd Bridges was acquitted. Legally free, but spiritually broken. The victory didn't bring peace. Addiction still chased him, and friends around him were dying from overdoses. In 1993, he was arrested again, this time in a drug-heavy Los Angeles neighborhood, with heroin, cocaine, and a loaded gun. This arrest could have ended his life for good. Instead, it shocked the system into giving him one final chance: rehabilitation over prison. That decision changed everything. Bridges finally saw the truth. If he kept going, he wouldn't survive. He cut ties with dangerous people, left drugs behind, and began rebuilding from the ground up. Slowly, painfully, he transformed his story. Not into a comeback as an actor, but into something deeper: a warning, a testimony, a voice. Today, Todd Bridges uses his scars to teach others about the deadly mix of fame, vulnerability, and addiction. From beloved child star, to accused gunman, to redeemed survivor, his journey is a reminder that no fall is final, and no life is too broken to rise again. Dwayne Michael Carter Jr., better known to the world as Lil Wayne, didn't just rise to the top of hip-hop. He exploded into it. A kid from New Orleans who signed to Cash Money Records at just 12 years old, he grew into a teenage prodigy and then a global phenomenon. By 17, He was on a platinum-selling album. By his mid-20s, he was unstoppable, dropping era-defining hits like Lollipop, A Milli, and 6 Foot 7 Foot. But at the height of his fame, Lil Wayne vanished. Not because of beef, not because of scandal, but because of something far more unforgiving: the law. On July 22, 2007, after tearing down the stage in New York City with one of his signature high-energy performances, Wayne stepped off his tour bus and straight into the hands of law enforcement. Officers claimed they smelled marijuana. Moments later, a search uncovered an unregistered .40 caliber handgun, a firearm New York State punishes with some of the harshest gun laws in America. Just like that, a superstar became a suspect. Court dates followed, each one heavier than the last. No fame, no awards, no chart-topping hits could soften the blow of New York's mandatory sentencing. By October 2009, Wayne agreed to a plea deal, 1 year behind bars. On March 9, 2010, Lil Wayne entered the gates of Rikers Island, one of the toughest correctional facilities in the nation. Surrounded by hardened criminals, stripped of privilege, he faced the one thing he never had before: silence. Yet even there, Wayne refused to break. When he was punished with 23-hour-day solitary confinement for possessing an MP3 player, he turned the isolation into fuel. He filled notebooks with lyrics, emotions, reflections, the raw material that would later become Gone Till November, a rare look into the soul of a superstar locked away from the world. After 8 months of good behavior, Wayne walked out of Rikers Island on November 4, 2010. Fans flooded the gates. The legend had returned, not defeated, but sharpened. He didn't waste a second. He dove straight back into the studio and soon delivered the Carter 4, proving that prison didn't crush him, it refined him. And in the end, his journey revealed one truth that no judge, cell, or headline could deny. You can lock a man's body, but you can't lock his spirit. Wesley Snipes, the man who once ruled the night as Blade, fell deeper into the shadows than any character he ever played. His rise was legendary. In the 1980s, he stepped into Hollywood as a young theater actor with real martial arts skills, undeniable charisma, and a calm, commanding presence. By the 1990s, he wasn't just an action star. He was the action star, a symbol of black excellence on screen, a hero who gave the industry a new face, a new attitude, and a new level of power. But at the height of his fame, Snipes made a mistake so reckless it destroyed everything he built. Between 1994 and 2000, despite earning tens of millions, Wesley didn't file or pay a single dollar in federal taxes. He thought he could outsmart the system. He hid money offshore, misreported income, and even claimed he wasn't a U.S. citizen, anything to slip past the IRS. What he didn't expect was that the U.S. government had been watching, and they were done playing games. With penalties and interest, Snipes suddenly owed more than $15 million. But the amount wasn't what doomed him. It was the audacity, the arrogance, the belief that he was untouchable. The IRS decided to make an example out of him, and Wesley Snipes became the center of one of the most aggressive tax evasion investigations in Hollywood history. In 2006, federal prosecutors hit him with 8 criminal charges. Snipes panicked. He hired the best lawyers he could find. He tried to explain, negotiate, pay, bargain, but the courtroom wasn't an action set, and there was no stunt double to take the hit. In 2008, the verdict came down: guilty. 3 years in federal prison. One of the harshest tax sentences ever given to an entertainer. Hollywood couldn't believe it. Stars had dodged taxes before and walked away with fines. But Wesley Snipes? He was turned into a warning. And just like that, the man who once hunted vampires became federal inmate #4355-18. On December 9, 2010, he reported to McKean Federal Prison in Pennsylvania. The millionaire action hero now earns spare dollars doing manual labor. Still, Snipes stayed disciplined. He avoided conflict, trained daily, and even taught martial arts to other inmates. But no matter how strong he remained, he couldn't escape the truth: his empire was gone. When he was released in April 2013 after serving 28 months, Hollywood had moved on without him. The action throne now belonged to Dwayne Johnson, Vin Diesel, and Jason Statham. Snipes tried to claw his way back with The Expendables 3 and Coming to America. But the industry never fully embraced him again. Too many scars. Too many headlines. Too much risk. Wesley Snipes learned the hardest lesson any star can face. Hollywood forgives fame, but it never forgets failure. James Brown. A high-speed nightmare, a fall from grace, and a comeback no one saw coming. Long before the scandal, he was already a legend, a performer since childhood, a superstar by the 1950s, and by 17 or 18, the man the world knew as the Godfather of Soul. Hits like I Got You, I Feel Good, Papa's Got a Brand New Bag, and It's a Man's World didn't just top charts, they shaped American music itself. James Brown wasn't just an entertainer, he was an institution. But on one shocking afternoon in September 1988, everything exploded. On September 24th, Brown walked into a drug rehabilitation center in Augusta, Georgia, not seeking help, but carrying a gun. Witnesses say he stormed in furious, made threats, and then fled the building. Moments later, he was speeding down the highway in his GMC truck, hitting over 75 miles per hour, tearing through state lines like a man possessed. What followed was straight out of an action movie. 9 police cruisers, 1 helicopter, 2 states, and James Brown refusing to stop. He smashed into a pickup truck, kept going, rolled over spike strips, and still pushed forward. It took officers over 30 minutes, multiple collisions, and finally gunfire to blow out his tires before the chase ended. When the dust settled, the Godfather of Soul was dragged from the vehicle, handcuffed, and arrested. Brown was handed a 6-year sentence, weapons charges, resisting arrest, aggravated assault, reckless endangerment. The man who once owned every stage in America now wore prison stripes and spent 8-hour days doing manual labor in a cell where music didn't exist. But James Brown wasn't done. After 3 years of good behavior, he walked out on parole in February 1991, and he didn't slow down. He returned to the stage, touring, recording, and even receiving an honor from President Bill Clinton in 1993. The world welcomed him back. Still, that wild chase became a permanent shadow on his legacy, proof that even legends can lose control, and one moment of madness can turn the Godfather of Soul into a fugitive on the evening news. Tupac Shakur. Before he was a global icon, he was a teenage prodigy, sharp, fearless, and convinced that nothing on earth could stop him. But in 1995, everything changed. The legal system he'd spent years calling out finally caught up to him, slamming him with a 4.5-year sentence for first-degree sexual abuse. The case went back to November 1993, when Ayanna Jackson accused Tupac and several men of assault inside a New York hotel room. Tupac insisted the encounter was consensual. He maintained his innocence until the very end. But the testimony, the evidence, and the courtroom atmosphere all went against him. On February 7, 1995, the jury delivered a guilty verdict that shocked the entire hip-hop world. The same man who spoke against police brutality and injustice was now facing prison for a crime he said he didn't commit. Locked inside Clinton Correctional Facility, Tupac faced a reality far harsher than any lyric he'd ever written. Yet even behind bars, his spirit didn't die. He wrote more than 200 songs, filled notebooks with raw reflections, and penned letters revealing pain, betrayal, loneliness, and a stubborn, burning hope for redemption. But freedom had a price. His $1.4 million bail was impossible to reach. That is, until Suge Knight stepped in with an offer that changed hip-hop forever. Full bail in exchange for a 3-album contract with Death Row Records. On October 12, 1995, Tupac walked out of prison a free man, but with Death Row's chains around his career. What happened next was an explosion. In just 8 months, Tupac recorded over 100 songs and dropped All Eyes on Me, the first double hip-hop album in history, selling more than 5 million copies in a year. His creativity was unstoppable, but the price of the Death Row deal was steep. He became entangled in the deadly East Coast-West Coast War, clashing with the notorious B.I.G. and Bad Boy Records. Less than a year after stepping out of prison, Tupac was gunned down on September 7, 1996, in Las Vegas. His life was brilliant. His impact was unmatched. But the moment he entered prison in 1995, everything shifted. That experience hardened him, sharpened him, and ultimately pushed him onto a path he couldn't escape, one that led to greatness, but also to his tragic, early end. Michael Jace. Michael Jace's story isn't just a Hollywood downfall, it's a heartbreaking family tragedy that still haunts everyone connected to it. He began his career quietly, taking on small roles before earning national recognition as Officer Julian Lowe on The Shield. He never became a blockbuster leading man, but he built a steady resume with appearances in Forrest Gump, Boogie Nights, and Planet of the Apes, 2001. On screen, he looked calm and composed. Off-screen, his life was spiraling. Behind closed doors, the pressure of work, financial stress, and a crumbling marriage were eating away at him. And on the night of May 19, 2014, everything collapsed. April Jace arrived at their South Los Angeles home with the couple's 2 young sons, expecting a normal evening. Instead, she walked straight into a storm of anger and resentment. Their marriage had been strained for years, full of arguments, accusations, and unspoken pain. That night, Michael reached a breaking point. In a moment of rage he would never be able to take back, he pulled the trigger. One shot struck April in the leg. Then 2 more followed. Their sons, just children, watched in terror as their mother collapsed to the floor. Michael called 911 himself. When officers arrived, he didn't resist. But the damage was irreversible. The case made national headlines. In court, Jace insisted he never meant to kill his wife, yet he admitted the decisions he made that night destroyed his family forever. After a lengthy trial, he was convicted of second-degree murder in 2016 and sentenced to 40 years to life. Today, Michael Jace lives quietly behind prison walls, far from the cameras that once lit his face. But the deepest wounds weren't his. 2 boys lost their mother in the most traumatic way possible, and lost their father on the very same night. No sentence can repair the life that was shattered. These 15 Hollywood stars had everything: fame, opportunity, admiration, yet one mistake, one moment, or one hidden secret sent their entire world crashing down. Which downfall shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another story from the darker side of Hollywood's glittering world.